3. Berkeley. George Berkeley, 1685 to 1753, built on the foundation of Locke's empiricism. Although an empirical idealist rather than a materialist, he was still an empiricist. For him, as for Locke, all knowledge was derived from sense perception, and he accepted Locke's empirical psychology. Berkeley, in An Essay Toward a New Theory of Vision, 1709, took Locke's premises far out of the common road, as he observed in his dedication to Sir John Percival. In this amazing document, written when Berkeley was only 24, Berkeley taught that all we see is our sensations. For all visible things are equally in the mind and take up no part of the external space. From this premise, Berkeley went on in 1710 to write his A Treatise Concerning the Principles of Human Knowledge, wherein the chief causes of error and difficulty in the sciences, with the grounds of skepticism, atheism, and irreligion, are inquired into. The full title is important in that it reveals Bishop Berkeley's religious concern. He became a bishop of Cloyne in Ireland in 1734, and he was a hard-working prelate. His purpose in this latter work is to teach that all that exists is knowledge. In Locke's system, God was the insurance agent who certified and guaranteed knowledge, but the real source of knowledge was the natural world. Berkeley saw the implications of this. Nature was preempting God's position, and he eliminated nature to retain God as the source of knowledge. Moreover, he recognized what Hume was later to develop, that a radical destruction of the possibility of knowledge was latent in Locke's empiricism. He wrote, It is a hard thing to suppose that right deductions from true principles should ever end in consequences which cannot be maintained or made consistent. We should believe that God has dealt more bountifully with the sons of men than to give them a strong desire for that knowledge which he had placed quite out of their reach. The difficulties he felt are entirely owing to ourselves, that we have first raised a dust and then complain we cannot see. The creative mind of Locke, however passive, was ultimately man's only world. Berkeley recognized the natural world was possibly no more than one of the mind's ideas or abstractions. In such a case, all that remains is Lockean man, the mind of man and his knowledge. It was important, therefore, to Berkeley to retain that knowledge, for his starting point was Lockean man, but to ascribe the source of that knowledge to God. Berkeley, amidst the Enlightenment's confidence, saw its Achilles heel. The ideas imprinted on the senses by the author of nature are called real things, and those excited in the imagination, being less regular, vivid, and constant, are more properly termed ideas or images of things which they copy and represent. But then our sensations, be they never so vivid and distinct, are nevertheless ideas, that is, they exist in the mind or are perceived by it as truly as the ideas of its own framing. The ideas of sense are allowed to have more reality in them, that is, to be more strong, orderly and coherent than the creatures of the mind, but this is no argument that they exist without the mind. They are also less dependent on the spirit or thinking substance which perceives them, in that they are excited by the will of another and more powerful spirit. Yet still they are ideas, and certainly no idea, whether faint or strong, can exist otherwise than in a mind perceiving it. Berkeley denied not the reality of knowledge, but the reality of matter as his solution. The only thing whose existence we deny is that which philosophers call matter or corporeal substance. The sun, moon, and stars remained real for Berkeley, but not material, nor did he see the old materialistic conception of the world as necessary to science. Berkeley did not deny the reality of material objects, but he did deny that matter as substance existed behind or in those material objects. Material objects existed apart from the mind of man, in the mind of God. Locke's position was that a dualism existed of spiritual substance, the mind or soul of man, which is passive, and material substance, which is active. These two substances are linked by ideas in the mind, and their link is made possible and its veracity assured by positing God as their creator. Locke's position was thus clearly dualism, a new variation on a Greek theme. Berkeley recognized the danger in Locke's system while accepting it. He retained the spiritual substance, dropped material substance, and retained God as the linking power between ideas and reality, reality now being the mind of God. For both Locke and Berkeley, man is a soul and represents freedom as against nature, the world of necessity. Berkeley recognized that dualism was hostile to biblical faith. He failed, however, to overcome dualism because he began with Lockean man as his presupposition. The mind of man now had radical autonomy, which Berkeley and Hume after him only underscored. Because of man's autonomy, there was now a dualism between ideas and the process of knowing. Man was set apart from the world like a god, but unlike God, was not the creator of his world, and therefore could not comprehend the world as his idea and law order. Thus man, by asserting his autonomy, asserted also a radical dualism between himself and reality, which could be overcome only by either denying that reality or by making that reality a part of himself, his own idea. This step was later to be taken. Berkeley retained that reality by positing that eternal, invisible mind which produces and sustains all things. God was Berkeley's one, but his many, the race of man, was his true presupposition and starting point. Autonomous man needed God, not as saviour, but as his mainstay in epistemology to retain true knowledge. As a result, the given for Berkeley was the mind of man, and man's ideas, not God.